Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about a very different topic when it comes to home buyers, and specifically about mistakes that I've made. And you might be curious about, hopefully you won't make the same mistake as I did. I'm sure as a first-time home buyer, I've made a whole bunch of mistakes, right? I did the one thing that I shouldn't have done, which was trust sellers with repairs. And I'm sure not all sellers are going to do terrible repairs. Unfortunately, our sellers did. They hid long-term issues with short-term repairs, which is something I should have known and I was warned about. There's a couple lessons to learn here, but first we'll go through some of these issues and just give you a good idea about what happened here. Now, the first thing here is a home deteriorates over time, right? So that's why you should always hire a home inspector. Even if it's a new build, it's still worth hiring a home inspector just to make sure that everything's fine. But specifically, this will be around homes that have been around for a while. One thing here is that homes will deteriorate over time, right? A piece of home, although the value of the property tends to go up, the home itself is still a physical structure. Physical structures always deteriorate over time without proper maintenance, which is a long way of saying there's always something wrong with the home. So you're gonna find something, and your goal is to find that issue before you purchase the actual home. And you make the purchase, you close on the purchase knowing full well that, hey, I need to make these repairs or I need to make this maintenance here and there. So we did hire an amazing inspector. They found all the issues, they pointed things out. Although legally they couldn't say exactly what the issue was because that wasn't their expertise. So we did follow up and we hired other contractors as well. When I was doing my research, the guidance basically came down to always ask for credits instead of repairs. Credits, or seller's credits specifically, is basically money that a seller gives you to incentivize you to close on the home. So basically what they're saying is, we're going to give you money so that you can repair it yourself, right? That's the whole point of credits. Always get credits, because ultimately, if you decide to have the seller do it, chances are sellers will do the minimal repairs as possible because they just want to close on the home, and they're going to facilitate the repairs themselves. So you won't really know what's wrong with the home or what was the actual issue in the first place. And at best, it's going to be a temporary repair. But if you think about it from the point of view of credits, right? You get the money and you can do whatever you decide, whether you want to DIY or hire someone you trust to repair the home. And they really don't care about the repairs, right? They just want to do the minimal as possible. They want to nickel and dime everything so that they can make the most money from the transaction, which does make sense, right? It's a business transaction, so that's what they're going to do. So I don't blame them for it, but I'm not happy with the fact that they did the minimal repairs as possible, and then they didn't tell us, which is the part that really drives me crazy. Now, I'm not saying all sellers would do this. Now, first of all, we did ask the sellers for credits. We had our attorneys reach out to their attorney and try to work out a way we can get credits and how much credits, but they insisted on doing repairs, and we agreed to that. As long as they provided a receipt, we were fine with it. There was a proof of repairs. What we failed to follow up on was what those repairs were, really looking at the receipts in more detail and following up on it. We got the receipts, we accepted it, and we closed on the deal, and then we were happy, right? They fixed the roof leak, we're happy with that. They fixed the HVAC so that it would continue to cool and heat, so we were happy about that. At least we thought so, until issues started popping up. Hindsight 2020, we should have been more diligent, but at that point in time, when you're so focused on closing on the home and it's been weeks now and you've been through multiple homes, you just want to get it over with. And if you find a place you liked, sometimes you may overlook things. I would encourage you to not do that. With all that said, let's get into the actual issues that we encountered. Now, the first part was the roof leak, right? When the inspector came in, they pointed out several areas that looked like it had a leak. Truthfully, it probably did have a leak, right? The paint was discolored. There might have been potential for mold. So we did hire our own contractors to come out and give estimates, right? The mold company came and they said, hey, there was nothing wrong with it, right? The mold contractors told us that it was a dry attic and there was no issues there. So we're like, hey, no water's in the attic. Where could the leak possibly be coming from? The roof contractor came out, but the roof contractors did indicate that there was an issue and potentially there could have been a leak, right? Given that, we encouraged the sellers to fix the issue. The funniest thing was that the sellers claimed that they didn't know there was a leak, that they never had a leak before, and it's not something that they encountered. Which really surprised me because it's obvious that there was a leak. They did hire a contractor and worked with the HOA to get it fixed. The problem is that when they sent the receipt over and you take a closer look at the receipt, which we didn't do, we saw that they used a painting company to fix the roof. Now, you gotta ask yourself, right? What do painting contractors know about fixing the roof? There's no more discoloration in the ceiling, so hey, if you paint it over, it's like the issue wasn't there in the first place. And so it's questionable whether they actually repaired the roof or not. And look at that, after we closed, a month has passed, we get 1 day of heavy rain and it started leaking right on top of our bed. Right then and there, we knew, hey, these sellers just kind of tricked us right there. They did some kind of quick fix. Was it really a roof repair? Who knows? I thought at first, hey, the HOA is at fault here. There's something wrong with it because they're the ones who were supposed to repair it. But I found out that actually it was our sellers who found the contractors to repair the roof, not the HOA. The HOA paid for it. Here we are with a leaking roof that the sellers claimed never leaked in the first place. And it only started leaking a month after. Seems kind of suspicious, even though it looked like it was leaking before. Eventually we got it fixed, right? We worked with the HOA, we got it squared away, and it no longer leaked anymore, even though we had some pretty bad storms since. But I will say that every time it rains, I get a little nervous and I check all the rooms in case there is a leak. So that was repair number one. The second one was the HVAC, right? Especially the AC system. So our inspector did come in. They did turn on the AC just to make sure everything was working. They said it wasn't actually cool. Again, the sellers assured us that they're gonna hire a city utility company to come out and fix it and resolve the issue and provide maintenance on the HVAC system. We didn't really know what that meant. They did send a receipt from that same company with parts and labor. So someone did come out to do maintenance, resolve whatever issue it was with the HVAC. Luckily for us, when we did turn on the AC within the first couple of months, it worked, right? We stayed cool, it was chill, but the problems really came 6 months later, right? When summer hit and we tried to turn on the AC again. And guess what? The AC wasn't cool. It was sort of like hot air blowing my face. And I was like, I'm in the desert right now. And that's where we really found out that, hey, actually, there was a Freon leak. And we only found this out because we hired that same exact company from the city to come take a look. And they actually called me up and said, hey, the previous sellers actually had a Freon leak. Although we did come out to provide service and maintenance on the HVAC system, what they did was basically fill up the Freon. And what they didn't do was repair the leak. And there was a known leak. So the sellers knew there was a leak, they didn't repair it, and they had a temporary fix instead. And then they didn't tell us that there was a leak. Our inspector kind of suspected something, but again, we put too much trust in the sellers, which we shouldn't have done. And we got into a situation where, the sentence of receipt was vague at best. And now we're basically stuck with having to repair HVAC and AC unit. It's not an easy fix, right? It's gonna be costly. But luckily, that's why you have an emergency fund. You have a house fund prepared for that. So, that's one thing that we did right when it comes to these repairs. A couple things went wrong here, right? We got the receipts, it looked like repairs occurred, and it did. The question was, were those repairs done correctly? And did they actually fix the actual issue at hand when we didn't know what the issue was? And we should have done more due diligence in that regard, hired more folks to come out, or pushed more on getting credits so that we could have done it ourselves. We did get estimates for roof repairs. What we didn't do was get estimates on HVAC systems and seeing what the issue was there. So there's a lot of things we could have done to repair this. We should have covered all our bases. It was very difficult to figure out what was the right moves there when it comes to verifying repairs, right? Especially if it was a short-term fix and you thought, hey, the issue's a done deal, especially with roof leaks, right? You don't know if it leaks until it actually rains, right? And it rains hard. Same with the HVAC system. It was cool for a few months, but after that, it was gone. Ultimately, the moral of the story is get credits if you can. Don't try to let sellers do repairs because they're gonna skimp on it and do minimal repairs at best. Don't blame them. That's just how they would want to maximize their profit. You want to push back on that because you want to maximize a home that acts actually functional and has all the repairs in place. And the next thing is ask for receipts. And once you get those receipts, don't stop there. Scrutinize the details, right? What was the actual issue, right? Talk to the contractors that they worked with and see what the issue was and what was the fix that they provided. Was it a short-term fix or a long-term fix? And lastly, we found out there was a roof leak because our neighbors told us that they did do repairs on the roof leaks in the past. So when they said they didn't know, our sellers said that they didn't know there was a leak, they were lying because our neighbors have seen them do repairs on their roof. But talk to them and find out, hey, have they done large repairs in the past? It's hard to hide a large repair, right? Because to fix the roof, you got to bring in a whole bunch of folks just to climb onto the roof with a bunch of materials and repair it. So there has been large repairs in the past, and we'll find out what those are. But ultimately, this was on us in many ways. We felt for the whole sellers will repair it instead of giving us credits, even though a lot of folks told me not to do that. But we really want to get over with and move on with the home purchase, which was something that a lot of folks during 2020 and 2021 might have done because of the low interest rates. But here we are now and we're learning from it. Hopefully you learned a bunch from this and you won't make the same mistakes as we did. And good luck on your home purchase.